afternoon, everybody, all the wonderful people in this auditorium. I'd not like to discriminate between men and women. So, wonderful people in this auditorium. In advance, we are celebrating the Women's Day, well in advance. And why are we doing that? At a time in 2025 where we are actually the majority in school education, because that's the context we are in right now, that in an urban space. Because if we begin to talk about the tier 2, tier 3 or the rural context, I think the conversation will be very different. So let's talk about the urban spaces that we are in and women leadership in school education. So all of us collectively decided that we'll talk about the journey of women leadership from good to great. Actually, we deliberated on another topic, beyond the rhetoric of equality. Because this rhetoric of equality, empowerment, makes me cringe actually sometimes. Because, I think we are at a time where we need not talk about is it a man or a woman who's a leader, but is this person a leader? Because we are beyond that kind of labels that we have to say that she's a good woman leader, so he's a good. You don't say he's a good man leader, right? We don't speak like that anymore. So it's all about leadership in school education. For all the good reasons that I would say why there are more women in private schools in India, there is a research that says that it's not the first choice of most of the women who come into school education. It is either the second or the third choice, or it is a compulsion. Now that compulsion is a very happy state of mind also, by the way. For many married women, although they would have had corporate careers, although they would have been highly qualified in other technical courses, but once the work-life balance becomes a challenge, that woman who still wants to be the homemaker, who still wants to be that good mother, good wife, good daughter-in-law, whether they have good in-laws or not, in spite of that, okay? That woman craves for a certain identity crisis. That woman craves for this need to be more useful than playing the role of a homemaker. Because, being a homemaker is no longer a challenge. There are multiple things that we can actually so smartly do that we don't have to worry about how do we manage this. But beyond being these homemakers and mothers and wives and things like that, how do we make ourselves more useful to the society? Because all said and done, genetically or hormonally, whatever you may say, there are certain skills, certain abilities women bring to the table. And those in school education, because the children are far younger than in higher education, I think women have a role to play there with that relatability, that natural affection and empathy that comes from their maternal instincts. All these things get actually satisfied because you are working with a bunch of young people of different age groups and you're able to relate to them. So I have wonderful panelists here, each one of them exemplary in the roles that they play, leaders in their own way, from different generations. By the way, you can see Divya Das, very, very young. She's coming all the way from Visakhapatnam. Divya Das heads the Green Day School in Visakhapatnam. We have Dr. Let me open the name. I am not usually poor at names. I was told to cut down this 45 minutes panel to 30 minutes. And I fought for women's rights. I had to fight for women's rights because we had 5 male speakers before us. And each one of them got well beyond their due time. So all the women sitting here, all the people sitting here, you deserve more time from us also. So I'm not listening to Spandana. I'm taking my good time. So we have Dr. Sandhya, all the way from Goa. We have Mrs. Annapurna, who is sitting right next to me. A very celebrated educator, very experienced, who actually knows what to do with her experience than just being a head of a school. So that's wonderful with her. We have Dr. Usha Reddy, my role model. I looked up to her when I landed in Hyderabad in 2003 and 4, that this is who I want to be. So she's sitting right next to me. We have Dr. Jyoti Reddy, a wonderful human being. And to all of you, you need to know She's invited by the United Nations from 10th to 21st of March to represent the Women's Commission, the Women's cause. So who better than her to be on this panel? And we have Sudeshna Chatterjee, another lovely human being. I've known her for quite some time now. The way she heads the Gordian School and the way she brings her positivity to everything that she does. And let me talk about Aparajita. Aparajita is a wonderful educator, international educator, IB educator. I feel so proud because she's my peer in this world of IB education. And I'm sure she's going to bring a lot of perspectives to this panel. So without much delay, I'm very, very conscious of the time. I'll have my first question to Dr. Usha Reddy. Usha, from the first step that you entered into the world of school education till now, how do you see women leadership emerging?
Thank you for that lovely question. I think in the days gone by, when I observed people around me, I found a lot of exemplary leaders, especially in the school system. Today, when I look back, I think it's a similar state of affairs with a lot more women heading schools than men. But what are the key differentiators? I think that's where I like to bring my points in. Earlier, when women actually walked out of homes and tried to become professionals, there may have been a couple of hurdles. I'm not saying things have actually drastically changed now, but I think the confidence with which women step out is far superior to what it was years ago. Because I believe we have stopped, demanding for equality. We've learned to command it. We've broken the glass ceiling long back, and we don't even want to talk about it because we have created the space, we have created our boundaries, and we know very well what is within our space and how to lead it. The differentiating factor of going from good to great, I feel, has been a transformative journey for many of us on this dais. But I think there are 2 points that I'd like to mention. One is using data for decision making, which I think is a critical differentiator from the years gone by to now, to the present. And I think the second thing, would be cultural competence. Gone are the days when we were just in silos, but today we not just look at what our peers are doing in schools all around us, but across the world. So I think this is something that I find. I liked what one of the speakers said, that if we have to make a difference in this world and not actually have a special Women's Day, because I think we have to be celebrated every day. I think he spoke of the home space where, we have a role as mothers, to equalize what's happening with the gender, with boys and the girls that we have at home. Similarly, he talked of the professional space, but I'm here to urge all the leaders to say, we have a long, lovely role to ensure that this happens within our school space. So that would really take us from good to great. Thank you.
Lovely, Usha. Can't be better than this, what you said. So my next question is to Dr. Jyoti Reddy. We already know she's representing the Women's Commission at the UN from India for about 10 days. She's going to participate in this in this conference about women's rights. So my question to her is, there's this thing about leadership and management, because I always had this clear line between a manager and a leader. Okay? A manager is someone who manages things, not that you don't need leadership skill there, but you need a different quality to be a leader. So by virtue of being a homemaker, it comes naturally to women, leadership and management. With regard to work-life balance, how do you sail in the two boats with equal ease?
Namaste everyone. I'm one of the fortunate people where I'm in the area, my passion is there. Many people, it's not a general statement, all of us don't get into the career or a workspace where our passion lies, where our ikigai lies. So when that happens, there is no word called work-life balance for me or for anyone, because work is always a part of our life. So it always depends on how we prioritize, and whether it is a man or a woman. I think to become an exemplary leader, self-awareness is more important. Forget about competencies, skill set, all that is required. That's why we are in some workspace. As we are competent, as we are having some skills, as we are in education field, especially our scenario, as we are instructional or pedagogical leaders, we are there. But how we manage everything makes a lot of difference in terms of how we build our support systems. And in my context, because I cannot generalize, because it is about how was it easy for you to balance. So, and every time I feel that the context makes a lot of difference, and something works which worked for me might not work for others. It's the same for the teachers also. So a leader, to become an exemplary leader, it depends on the team, because all successful leaders are there because there are many unsung heroes behind their lives. So, and personally, I strongly feel that actual leadership is making more leaders, empowering your team. So if we create more leaders in the ecosystem, going from egocentric to ecocentric leadership style, then we get all the support. Because our teams work for us not for the designation or the title, whether it is a principal or a coordinator or a director. They work first for us for what type of a human being we are, how much empathetic we are towards our teams. That's when the entire support system forms as an army for us at workplace. Then the family. So if we make the family understand why we are doing something there, when why is clear for any individual, the what and how falls in place. So that's how we create support system I created my support system at family. By the way, I'm not fortunate to have my in-laws like Spandana, because she's very lucky. That's a different story. So I'm telling, if we don't have a support system at family, right? Then how do we self-empower ourselves? So using technology, leveraging technology, being a lifelong learner, and how we prioritize ourselves. So based on our value system, we can't compromise our individual values for the organizational values. And first of all, leaders become very successful when their personal values are aligned with the organizational values. So when we have that clarity, even in the organization, how do we prioritize without compromising with our personal values? That makes our work very simple in terms of getting peace. There is no word called stress if we know where to detach and where to let go. So I think some of these things have helped me empowering my team and being a self-long learner, being empathetic, putting my ego in the dustbin when I come out, and equipping ourselves to become not to be outdated, spending time on training of our team members. It's not that we spend for our own time on our PDs, but how much we are empowering and looking into the career path of our team makes our life more easier. Thank you so much.
That's Jyoti, I think it's coming from your experience and coming from your heart. I really appreciate that. One thing I think I'd like to sensitize everybody sitting here. This multitasking role that a woman plays in this patriarchal society. It's very interesting if you acknowledge the fact that you are multitasking, that you're capable of it, and that you can just because you're able to do many things in the school, if you acknowledge that you can do the same thing at home, okay, instead of ever getting into a self-pity mode or looking for sympathy from somebody or using this as a pretext for getting attention from the family members, I think the real empowerment comes from within. I knew when I was going through a tough phase in my personal life with my husband's illness for 3 years, he was in bed. I knew I could handle it because I was handling it in the school, multiple challenges that we were going through during the COVID phase. But if I can find solutions there, why can't I find solutions at home? But this comes from the fact that you self-awareness, like Jyoti said, and acknowledging your own power that you can handle things with. Mrs. Annapurna, thanks Sudeshna for that. My question to you is, we are a deep-rooted patriarchal society in spite of women empowerment. We celebrate every year, 8th March, Women's Day, this, that, okay? We still remain to be a patriarchal society. So in a scenario like that, what is your advice to the younger women who are getting into school education? Because you see, many of them are coming from college, be it colleges or people who have given up other careers and moving in between the age of 25 to 35. What is your advice to them?
Yeah, thank you, Sita ma'am. You spoke about a patriarchal society. Yes, and who's responsible? Somewhere I feel we ourselves are responsible. It's a critical reality. One thing that has always bothered me is we are in the 21st century, and one of the sustainable development goals, goal 5, says gender equality. And they have equated it with alleviating poverty, alleviating climate change and all other things. So where are we headed? And it's not just a phenomenon of our country, it's across the world. It took almost 400 years for a developed country like US to get a female vice president, not even a president. So where are we headed? I mean, we are, and somewhere I feel we ourselves have not made the effort to come out of it also. Today when I conduct training sessions, in one particular session when I ask the teachers, what is your personal goal in life? They told me, how can I have a personal goal? My life is tied to my family, my husband and my children. How can I have a personal goal? I mean, we need to get out of all of this. Once you have stepped out of your house to come out and make a career for yourself, you are entitled to have both a personal and a professional goal. So we ourselves have not come out of this mindset as yet. And that is why we've handed it on a platter to the men saying, let it be a patriarchal society. And another thing that has always bothered me, I don't know whether I can say this or not, we are 50% of the population, but we are very happy with 33% reservation. Somehow that has always bothered me. Now in this scenario, all the people who are setting out into the field of education, as ma'am said, some of them are coming by choice, which is a very little percentage, very small percentage, I'm sure all of you will agree. And majority of them are coming by chance. In fact, even I came by chance only. Fortunately, it got converted into choice very fast. Now, what is it that will make the chance move towards choice? First is whether you came by chance or by choice. You have to develop it. Once you've decided that I am going to be a teacher, come what may, whatever it is, I will make this as my career, it has to get converted into a passion. And everybody has some kind of an expertise. So hone that expertise and work around that expertise, work around your strengths and develop them. And of course, a lot of networking needs to be done. In today's world, the more you learn, the more you grow. I have completed my degree long ago, my education is done, is no more valid anymore. Doesn't matter where we are, how old we are, as long as we are in the profession, we are still learning and we have to go on learning. There is no end to that learning. We have to be all the time ready. And once you develop that conviction that yes, whatever I have developed, whatever I have learned, you automatically develop a confidence to provide all that information to everyone. During COVID, do I have a minute, ma'am, to explain? Just a few seconds, okay? During COVID, I happened to get stuck in Canada, and I was told to write a book by my children because I was there for almost 8 months. I said, I'm not a writer. But then I read about one article by Todd Henry, who said that whatever one has gained, if you don't share it and die, the graveyard is the richest place today. So everyone needs to share whatever they have gained. So the more you learn, the more you share. And the more you share, the more you learn. So this would be my advice to the young generation.
That's really nice. Even I remember reading a few lines from one of my favorite books called Wayfinders, in which the author Will Davis says that with every person, that old person from that remote village who's dying, that much of science and knowledge is dying, and the beauty of language is dying. So we have a huge responsibility to preserve it. But Mrs. Annapurna is one person who keeps reinventing herself. And I think that is a good message to the youngsters also, because just because everybody says that this current generation has, will probably have 3 to 4 different jobs in their career, younger generation is believing that they have to have 3 to 4 jobs. The constancy factor is generally missing in them. They're always looking for greener pastures where they can't define what is green. Okay? But in a scenario like that, I think we need to help them, like you said, develop a lot of clarities. So, Sudeshna ji, compared to our generation, when I say our generation, the current generation of teachers are looking for quicker ways to reach the post of the principal or the head of the school. Because when I interview teachers who have just finished their B.Ed, I ask, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? In your chair, ma'am. Okay? How would you counsel these ambitions?
Thank you, ma'am, for that question. I go back to the use of the word ambition to a time, I think I was around 28 or 30, mother of 2, and with a full-time school job. My father-in-law told me once, please stop being so ambitious. I think what he equated ambition to was my hard work, my sincerity, and my commitment, and trying to multitask, a word that has been used so often about ladies. That was misinterpreted to be ambition. I would like to use the word aspiration, however. Yes, young ladies need to be aspirational, and why not ambitious? But there are certain things that in this age of instant gratification, people think that everything is 2-minute noodles, and jumping to the chair of the leader of the school is also something as simple as that, which I think all of us seated here and most of us in the audience will understand that the patience, the forbearance, the Shraddha and the Saburi, these are 2 words I love. The Shraddha, which means respect, and Saburi, which means patience, doesn't come in an instant. It takes years and years, and I will use a word that I use often, struggle. In a world where parents are trying to remove struggle entirely from our younger generations, when they come in as employees, they don't have any value for struggle, for the commitment, the hard work, the patience and the forbearance that actually helped to build the relationships and the trust and the bridges that led from you being a young teacher with stars in your eyes to reach the chair of the head of school. The love, the empathy, the willingness to create more leaders, as has just been said, far outweighs any personal ambition. As a young lady in one of the schools in Mumbai where I was working, our very seasoned and senior managing trustee had said, the institution is more important than the individual. And as a young lady, I was in conflict with that statement till I think I started fitting into the shoes of those who were in charge. So with that, I rest my case.
Thank you.
Beautifully said. Because you can't order the role of a principal from Amazon. Okay? Not from Swiggy can you get that entire package. Because it's something that you have to earn at a time and instant gratification, because you don't want to watch this movie, then you go to another one from Netflix, to another OTT platform. Jobs are, especially leadership roles, don't come like that. Yes, one has to have an experience of having having played different roles in a school context, but to be a school leader, then it's a different formula altogether. Aprajita, can I come to you with this question? By nature, women bring relationship, empathy, ready warmth to the role they play. What is the role of emotionality and personal touch in leadership roles? Because I was having a conversation with a gentleman the other day. I noticed that women teachers in the schools are larger in number, and I can trust them more than the male teachers. Okay? So that's because I had two male teachers who joined, and within no time they were looking for other jobs and moved out. So he said that there is a certain hormone in men which can relate more to a job, and certain hormone in women that can relate to people and relationships and emotionality. So what, according to you, is the role of this emotionality?
I wouldn't typecast emotionality or teacher roles, but I would say this, as I was talking to some people during the break, is that for me, empathy, emotionality means a lot right now, because I'm somebody who came to Hyderabad seeking the opportunity that I got from Delhi. And so for me, my prime thing was to be empathetic, to be emotional, to understand the needs of who I was supposed to lead, and to expect the same from them. I was this larger than life in size, and a Punjabi woman, a loud Punjabi woman who wanted things done pronto, like let's do this. And to a gentle, nice, subtle way of things that are being done here, I was very in the face. So for me to all the time be slowing down, understand, put myself in other person's shoe, I used to always say, and I'll say this in Hindi, I'll translate it for you, Ma hoon, ma se hoon. I am a mother from a mother. I am a principal from a teacher, right? I did not just become. So I had to be always attaching that emotionality. I have seen in my office men break down. They come and share their innermost, anxieties, their pressures, what they feel, the society, what that expects out of them, and are they able to live up to that? So emotionality being, sandboxed will not be something that I will conform to. I, again, will take 30 seconds to share my experience. I'm an army officer's wife, so traveled everywhere in the world with my husband for 30 years. We celebrate our 30 years tomorrow. So I traveled everywhere with him till this opportunity came to me, and then I told him, I said, it's my time. And yes, he supported me. I'm supported, I said that. But only in a job that suited the surroundings. The emotionality got to me only when I understood that I'm looking at a teacher's job fitting into an army officer's life. An army officer's wife is committed to the family much more. I'm not saying others are not, but much more, because we are living in smaller areas, doing very odd jobs, don't have schools that we can even send our children to, so we are staying away and so on and so forth. I won't get into that right now. But he's supporting me. He moved to Hyderabad for me, and he's, wow. What about the 28 years I've been wowing my life out for him? that's how it is in life, right? So support, emotionality, all of that came to me only when I started putting myself in other people's shoes. And I think as a leader, we need to continuously conform to that emotionality, outboxing men and women out of that, And I think that's what will make us great leaders. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. I completely understand what you're saying because my husband was in the Air Force. We traveled everywhere. But I must tell you one thing. Leadership comes because of moving to different places. Like she said, in some of the stations, Air Force stations that we have been in, there's no high school at all. There's no secondary school. So you don't even mind teaching in a pre-primary, you don't mind teaching in a grade 3, and suddenly you're a grade 12 teacher, then you're a grade 7, and different subjects, by the way. And trust me, that gives you a complete 360-degree overview of what goes into making a school. So I resonate with what you're saying about that. Yeah, I also walked in so much. Okay. So, Divya, how do you see the role of women leaders in urban, semi-urban and rural schools?
So, good afternoon everyone. Just before getting into the question, ma'am, today's topic that we all sat with, leadership and school education in India, women going from good to great. So the statement that says women going good to great means education is going good to great. I would like to start with that statement. The very essence of an Indian woman is that she is sensitive. She is sensitive to the needs, whether you call it the needs at home, needs in an organization, because the moment a child, husband, father, anyone says they're hungry, they become a chef. You know, they do their bit. The moment says the child, you need something. So you play different roles and you change roles so fast. Why is this happening? Because you are sensitive. You are so sensitive and you want to create an impact. You want to content the other person, whoever you're working with or you're dealing with at that moment. So the same thing, and another very important quality that women bring onto the table is stability. You know, balance is one word, and I also use stability because women, I think within ourselves, after all these discussions and speeches, by default, we have some qualities that we will not let go of. You know, we might have 10 servants working at home, but when your child wants you to cook, you will cook. When your child wants you to do something, you will do something. So these kind of, this is what a woman is very particular about. And by default, she's sufficing to all that is required. And in an organization, when she's catering to all the needs at home so beautifully, why is she not capable of catering to needs of an organization? So that is when women bring in a lot of stability, bring in a lot of sensitivity, and systems are there, strategies are there, everything is in place. We all work with different boards, different councils. But ultimately, at the end of the day, as a leader, if you are sensitive, when you are able to understand the needs of the city that you are in, the kind of students you're working with, the kind of parents you're working with, the structure that you're working with, I think the leadership can be a lot more impactful. And I would also say that, we are already privileged. We are all, okay, it's been a long journey for everyone and we're sitting as leaders today. It is our responsibility to make new leaders within our organization, identify their potential, tell them what they are good at. They might not be getting that motivation from the home front or their family, their friends, or whoever there is around them. But you are working with them on a daily basis. So if you can understand, as a colleague or as a leader of that particular organization, if you're able to understand and drive them towards it, we will have a lot more women leaders. And coming to the question, ma'am, I'm sorry for taking a little extra time there. So coming to the question, I think it's a very diverse perspectives there. Urban, semi-urban, rural. Okay. So I will start off with urban first. Now in urban, we are equipped with everything that we need. So in this room today, we have a pool of intellects. We have the latest technologies and the companies that are serving it. So we have everything at our footstep. And we can call for it as and when we want. The biggest challenge what I feel in urban is we are dealing with a set of students who are consuming so much information from various sources. So you are dealing with a generation who's so progressive. You might be a leader who's well equipped with a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, but again you are dealing with a generation who has AI at their fingertips. So they are consuming information. And you have to, and these days satisfying a student in a classroom is not a small task. Because even before the teacher starts the lesson, child is watching a video at home and coming to the class. So that is where the teachers have to work harder, the school leaders have to work harder, and that is where our challenge is really increasing by the day. And coming to the resources and everything, I think we are very well equipped in urban. Something that is not there, everything is a call away, internet is the biggest source. Now coming to the semi-urban perspective, the school leaders in semi-urban, I think they're still struggling between the resources that are available in urban, and so they're just trying to strike a balance between what they're getting in urban and what they're not getting in rural side. So that is where the school leaders there, they have to be I think people who can really get people on board. There's a lot of struggle happening there, to be very honest, because infrastructure, resources, everything is a constraint in semi-urban setup. So that is where, and availability of resources, ma'am. Availability of resources is a very big struggle in semi-urban. And coming to the rural now. Now this is where the real struggle is. Reddy sir has been talking about it in the morning. Rural is where, firstly, women becoming leaders there itself is difficult. Women have to really come out of their comfort zone, make people accept them to become leaders, and then start doing what they have to. So firstly, putting all the norms aside, creating all the, putting away all the disturbances aside, becoming a woman leader in a rural setup is very difficult. And once you become a leader, it's just not about equipping your children with information there. Again, now coming to the students in a rural setup, they're very ambitious. Because they don't have deviations. They don't, because there are a lot of rural areas where there is no phone availability, there is no internet availability also. So the leaders in rural setup, they have to update themselves, they have to upgrade themselves, they have to connect themselves with the people in semi-urban and urban areas so that they can equip themselves and equip the organizations that they're working with. I think this is...
I have a reason in asking this question.
Yes.
I was generally, since I'm the moderator, I need to know some facts, some statistics I should have. So I was Googling about this information and I came upon a document, a research document, published in 2018, so the research would have happened in 15, 16, 17. It says that in India, women in school leadership positions like principal, vice principal, academic coordinator, the states which have larger number of these women leaders are very few. One is Andhra Pradesh, from where you come from. One is Goa, from where she comes from. And I hope it was when she said Andhra, it was Telangana Andhra. Okay, because I don't want to believe that Telangana is anywhere behind that. And interestingly, Madhya Pradesh, where you generally have this assumption of certain bias that maybe not, but these are 5-6 states which have larger number of women leaders in school education, which is something that all of us have to work, reflect upon probably. So Dr. Sandhya Venkatesh, can I come to you with this question? Is leadership about roles and designations, or are there other avenues of leadership for women in school education?
Ma'am, thanks for the question, and I will take from where she stopped. So she said that we have to teach the younger generation when they come for interview and when we appoint their aspirations are the chair. So the chair is easy to get, but the way to it is difficult. So what we have to tell the younger generation is there are a lot of places where you can develop your leadership skill. First of all, when as school we have a lot of initiatives, so find out a person who is capable enough, develop their leadership role. You can ask the younger generation, if you are good at your subject, why don't you become a subject matter expertise? Show your expertise there. So your leadership will be automatically developed. If you are a very good counselor, connect with the children. If you connect with your student and show them the right way, you are a leader in yourself. Or not only this, there are many things a teacher or a person in school can do. Becoming a principal nowadays, I think, is easy. It was difficult in our days. We were grilled, and today also we are being grilled. If the school is not performing or the results are not up to the mark. But being a leader in your place, wherever you are, matters. Because you don't have to wait for the chair. You can be recognized by the people with your work. When I say that, you can work on diversion and diversity and inclusiveness. Many people don't know anything about diversity and inclusive education. So if you know it, you are a leader in yourself. When you're working with children with specific needs, you are a leader in yourself because many people don't know. Till today, if you ask, what are the benefits? How will you recognize a child? Many teachers don't know. So if a person knows, she is a leader in herself. So there are many avenues. You don't wait for the chair. Develop yourself. The chair will automatically come to you.
It's a beautiful suggestion that you have given and an idea, I think. So I must tell you, like how Divya said, groom more leaders from within your school. I know one thing for sure, my friend and my colleague Usha Reddy grew many principals for the city, many coordinators, many academic leaders for the city and outside the city too. It's so important that we groom leaders for leading the schools that we have probably led for so many years, because if we don't, who will? Okay, so on that note, because I got a reminder also that I need to wind up, and I hope she'll give this reminder to the next set of speakers also. Okay, because it should not come between the conclusion of the ceremony and other things. However, I'll just ask a rapid fire question to each one of them. What is leadership to you, Usha?
To put it in one word, it's everything. Within this institution, outside the institution, and within ourselves too.
Wonderful. Is there a glass ceiling in school leadership?
It depends on how you understand the context and the situation, because in school every minute comes with different permutations and combinations. So as a leader we should be prepared to whether to break the glass ceiling or survive and lead under the glass ceiling.
So Deshna, one woman leader in school education that you look up to.
Many of my teachers.
Okay.
I have studied in convents all the way up to my college, the Irish nuns, and I think much about what I learned about the love for school has come from my own schooling. And I still dream about my own school.
Beautiful. What is one thing that you wish you still had done as a leader?
Change mindset.
Oh, wait, I swear. I know what you mean. Mrs. Annapurna, what is one other avenue for women leaders other than being boring principals?
The best homemakers. Because apart from teachers, homemakers are the ones who are grooming the next generation.
I agree with you. Divya, one school leader you look up to, whether it's a man or a woman, a leader.
I think in specific, I cannot take out a name, but I learn from each one every single day. I think everyone has their own style, own strategies, and reading about them, I think you take a little bit from everyone and it makes you a better leader by the day.
Beautiful. Prajita. So in the IB world, we talk about leadership intelligences, heuristic intelligence, strategic intelligence, pedagogical intelligence. What is one thing very important you think is required?
A mix of all.
A mix of all of them. Fantastic. So on that note, I think I need to conclude it to respect Spandana's request. Okay. Spandana, I must tell you, you're very lucky. Most of the women who work don't have wonderful in-laws like you do, but they're brave, courageous warriors against adversity also to become leaders. So please give them all a big round of applause.